Hi everybody, my name's Carmel Johnson. Most of you know me from the Jackson Post Office. I'm also a quilter and I have a lot of scrap material, and several people have asked me for face masks. And after going on YouTube and the internet for instructions and stuff, I was pretty frustrated because a lot of them use elastic for the ear loops and you can't find it. So I was racking my brains trying to figure out what to use. I had some cord here that just didn't last very long at all, and it's pretty thick. Decided just to make ties, so I went to Walmart and thought about ribbon. So I bought different ribbons, colors, and sizes, not quite knowing what I needed. So the 3/8 is the largest I bought, and it's a little big. The 1/4 inch to me is about the right size. And then they also had the 1/8 inch. Some of it was 47 cents a spool, some's $1. And the more decorative, if you wanted to go that way, is I think $2.48. So I need 4 strips, 15 inches long is what I came to. I've done some of these with some of my scrap, and the more I do, the better I get at it. Of course, this is the 1/8 inch here. This is the 1/4 inch here. And as I said, I had some of the parachute cord I used. This one has the 3/8 on it, mainly because I just kind of matching colors up. So the other part of the mask that I need is 2 pieces of material, 6.5 by 9.5 for the adult size. And as I said, I had a lot of scraps. Now you're going to assemble this like a pillow. If you've ever sewn a pillow or made a pillow, you're going to sew around the 4 edges, and you're going to leave an unsewn section here so you can turn this inside out when you're finished. So I'm going to pin the ribbon on the 4 sides. So I have the 4 sides just pinned and the strings in the middle. And I kind of tie those up to keep from sewing them. You don't want those sewed down. So this is what it looks like when I'm getting ready to make my sandwich. So I'm going to take my other piece of material here, and so the right sides are going to be together, and lay it on top like this. And the only thing to be sewn is the 4 corners, so your straps are all going to be loose when you turn it inside out. So this is how I have it all pinned. So this is my pocket that I will not sew. That way I can pull it through and turn it inside out. I'll start sewing here and I'll go this way. Now I switch back and forth several times and back and forth several times this way. So down through here, back and forth, turn my corner, around through here, back and forth several times. Make sure that ribbon is on there good and solid, as you know. We're not looking for something that's going to last for years. We need something that's going to last 2 months, 3 months maybe, with several washings. So, and then down through here, again, several times, and then I'm going to sew to here and stop. Now, if you are experienced sewer, you don't need these pins here. You can just line your edges up. Inexperienced, pin it all down. And if you'll look, as I put my sewing pins for the corners in this way, I'll pull those out as I get close, and I go in this way and I pull them out. You shouldn't sew over your pins. So we'll go to the sewing. As I said, I'm going to start here, sew down, go around this a little bit, and sew all the way back to the edges, and sew back to this other pin up here, so that I'm leaving, or let's see here, yeah, that's the pin. I'm leaving a pocket here to turn this inside out. I'll go ahead and get this sewn and then be back to you in just a second. I can't sew and hold my phone. So I've got my edges all sewn, and as I said, I go back and forth on the corners to hold those ribbons in there. Get a little focused here. Now what I'm going to do is trim these corners, and you can see I left the pins in there to show you the pocket that we're going to pull this around. So here's my corners after I trimmed them off. That'll make those lay flatter. And then we're going to pull it through. So I usually just put my thumbs in here, and I just kind of just keep working it through the back, sticking my fingers through there. And I get a hold of the ribbon. Don't pull too tight because your ribbon's going to get knotted up. Now, as you see, I kind of did a slip knot on the ribbon, so I do try to pull that back out and let that loose. And then I get a hold of each corner, get my pins out of the way, and just pull the corners and get all 4 corners pulled out here. And then I just take my finger and flatten it out. Try to get my seams out. Sometimes I'll run my hand up in it to get that seam out good. And I'll usually just run a pin in it to keep that seam good. I don't worry too much about the sides. Now you have this open edge here. So what you want to do, I always denote that as the bottom of the mask. And I just tuck that in. And with my fingers, grab a pin. And if I can get a hold of it. And I just go ahead and pin that. Now I've brought the mask, pulled these out to pop the corners out good, and I'm just going to iron this down. Now remember, if you're using these flat pins, you get this hot iron against them, you're going to pull the heads off or melt the heads of these pins, so kind of be careful. I want to flatten that all out, and then I'm going to take the pin out of the top. And this is where you're going to actually make the fold. So I just guess. Sometimes you get them too big and you have to start back at the top. I go ahead and pin each one down over here with the pin head out. So when you're sewing, you can pull the pins. And sew each side down. Fold each down and then just go to the next one and fold it. Remember, you're going to do 3 folds, so don't get them too big. I tend to want to get them too big sometimes. And then I have to pull them all back out and start over, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so I have my pins, 1, 2, 3, see that? And my 1, 2, 3. Doesn't have to be perfect. Said this is something we're hopefully only going to use a month or 2. Watch your pin heads again with the hot iron. I'm just ironing them down. And then I'm going to take them back over to the sewing machine. So this is what you've got, or what you should be looking like. Remember, your bottom is still open. So we're back under the sewing machine here. Now, get this in focus here. I take a very small seam along this bottom first to close this hole here where we turned it. And I just start right at the edge of the material. I don't go all the way in over the edge or anything like that. I'm just trying to get that middle seam right in there sewn shut. And with the seam on the bottom, it kind of denotes the bottom of the mask. And as you can see, it's folded where this is going to be the nose, and the seam that's visible will be the bottom of the mask. And if you notice, when I start, it always ends up, I guess because I don't have measure these pleats, my top's usually the biggest fold, but then it's going to be on the ridge of your nose, so I don't worry too much about that. In fact, I think that's probably pretty appropriate. So I've got my seam sewn along the bottom here. Yeah, nothing great, but once again, it's a mask. And we're doing the best we can with what we have. Now, I've got the machine. I'm going to run just one line down through here to hold these pleats. So when it's on your face, it'll expand. One line down on the other side, about the same place. And get my pins out as we sew, and we are almost done. So I've got my seam down each side, get it focused here. And then here's the bottom Here's my seam down this side. Here is the back side, which you really can't see, but when it's opened, it's on here, and we have a mask with 2 ties, and pretty solid, and it works. The main thing is to keep you from breathing on other people and from other people wearing masks won't breathe on you, and that really cuts down contamination. So hope this video was helpful. And by the way, if I have the material cut, it's taken me anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes to do one.